Hiro Tonda meets Shoka Komi, a beautiful but quiet girl, on their first day at Eton Private High School. Due to her looks and quiet demeanor, Komi automatically becomes popular, while Tadano becomes universally hated due to being assigned the desk next to hers. Tadano accidentally finds himself alone with Komi, who almost runs away when he talks to her, causing him to realize she actually suffers from severe social anxiety as she cannot talk to people. Tadano suggests that she write on the chalkboard, and she's able to communicate that she wants to speak normally but is unable to because of social anxiety. She apologizes for wasting Tadano's time and tries to leave, only for Tadano to write down his own message on the board for her, allowing her to have her first real conversation with a friend. She reveals her dream is to make 100 friends, and Tadano, now becoming her first one, promises to help her find the other 99. The next morning, it is revealed the entrance exam for the school was a personality interview, meaning it is full of strange loners, miscreants, and eccentrics. As such, the task will be harder than Tadano thought. Tadano introduces Komi to Najimi Osuna, his childhood friend who has the habit of switching their gender due to moving schools frequently. Najimi is the childhood friend of absolutely everybody. However, Najimi reveals they failed to become Komi's friend years ago, the shock of failure leaving them with the difficulty of being around Komi to this day. Though they do agree to walk Komi home, Tadano follows the two and sees that even Najimi struggles to have a conversation with Komi. Najimi is approached by the delinquent Ma, another childhood friend, who confesses his love. Najimi switches back to being male to reject him, but Ma is determined. Komi attempts to speak, but her stammering speech and unblinking stare convince Ma she is an assassin and flees. Najimi attempts to be Komi's friend for real. Najimi begins eating lunch with Tadano and Komi, making Tadano even more unpopular. Tadano explains about Komi's desire for friends, so Najimi sends Komi to get a complicated coffee order by herself, claiming it is training to force Komi to speak. Despite several attempts, Komi gets the wrong coffee and cries, forcing Tadano and Najimi to apologize. Though they both consider Komi's sulking cute, Himiko Aguri struggles to communicate and panics when Komi begins following her. Najimi advised Komi to befriend Aguri since they both struggle with communication. Aguri later thanks Komi for scaring her, as it made it easier to communicate with her classmates. In gratitude, she decides to become Komi's lapdog. Komi buys her first phone and is determined to ask everyone for their numbers. She manages to get Najimi's number, but Aguri's lapdog routine puts her off from asking. Asking for Tadano's number is even more awkward when Aguri accidentally ruins the moment. Komi is elected class president against her will. Sensing her reluctance, Najimi instead has Komi voted class goddess, while the more difficult role of president goes to Tadano, with Najimi as vice president. Komi accidentally calls Tadano, leading to her awkward first phone call, which both she and Tadano are proud of achieving. Komi is intrigued by the games played by popular students, so Najimi invites her to join. However, everyone lets Komi win due to her popularity. Tadano sabotages the second game to spare Komi an embarrassing moment, adding to his unpopularity, but he is happy when Komi thanks him for helping her have fun during physical exams. Mikiro Yadano, who hates to lose, is determined to beat Komi. Komi wins by having better eyesight, being taller, and weighing less. Yadano decides a physical exam proves nothing and insists the exam is a draw. Yadano scores completely average on the exam. Rinyami, a popular girl, is obsessed with Komi and forces Najimi to introduce them. Tadano wakes up in Yami's room, Yami having kidnapped him to keep him away from Komi. Najimi asks if she and Komi can visit Yami's house, and she agrees. Najimi finds Tadano in a closet, forcing Yami to reveal her belief she would make a better friend than Tadano. She is shocked when Komi rejects her in favor of Tadano. Komi blames herself for what happened and asks if Tadano will still be her friend, even speaking out loud to him. Najimi brings Yami to give a confusing apology for her actions. Komi decides Yami can know about her social anxiety. Yami is shocked to learn the truth, but, besides being unable to speak, just makes Komi even cuter and will help her find 100 friends. After a brief hesitation, Komi decides Yami can be her friend too. Komi is somehow even more attractive in her summer uniform. Yadano was determined to beat Komi during fitness tests but loses yet again. Komi is unable to shake her hand, so Yano becomes even more determined to beat her. Najimi asks to visit Komi's house, and they meet her very outgoing mother, Shuko. Najimi leaves Komi and Tadano alone together but is disappointed that nothing happens. Najimi finds Komi's childhood photo album. Nishimi sends Komi photos of their visit, which Komi saves in a photo frame. Komi asks to visit a ramen shop, so Aguri takes everyone to Ramen Daru. There, Komi manages to follow all the unspoken rules perfectly, causing the customers and chef to greatly admire her. Omaharu Nakanaka, a Chubayo, claims Komi is Princess Camilla, her friend from a previous life. Tadono remembers acting similarly in middle school, realizing Nakanaka is lonely. Komi volunteers to be Nakanaka's gym partner. Najimi takes Tadano's umbrella and leaves a note, so Komi and Tadano share hers. She notices that he let his shoulder get wet to give her more cover. At a convenience store, Tadano realizes that Komi read Nishimi's note and waited for him so they could share hers. Komi attempts to tell a joke but, having never told one before, has no situational humor or comedic timing. Tadano is similarly bad at joke telling, but Komi is impressed anyway. Komi has never been clothes shopping before, so everyone picks out clothes they think will suit her. Komi ends up buying a dress chosen by Tadano. Komi goes to a beauty salon. Makikarisu, the owner, knows Komi and can understand her, whereas her trainee, Kamiko Ari, thinks Komi's silence is a criticism of her customer service skills until Komi manages to thank her the next day. Only Tadano notices her haircut, making Komi happy. Komi cannot sleep due to her overthinking about her failed conversations throughout the day but eventually falls asleep thinking about Tadano helping her. Nishimi asks for help studying but grows bored after making too much noise in the school library. Najimi is punished by the assistant librarian. Everyone passes their exams, including Najimi. Yadano is furious that Komi scored higher than her on every exam over the summer. Both Komi and Tadano spend the first week feeling lonely but are too nervous to call each other. Najimi unknowingly solves the problem by inviting them both to go swimming at the pool. Despite feeling nervous, Komi makes it to the pool on time and wears the dress Tadano chose. Komi only owns a school swimsuit, so Yame forces her to buy swimwear. Komi later trips and scrapes her knee, unable to enter the water. Komi sits alone. Tadano makes her feel better and pulls her to a shallow pool to keep her bandage dry. Then, he panics when he realizes he held Komi's hand. After ending the day with a water fight, everyone heads home. Komi decides to visit the library. Her father, who is also bad at communicating, goes with her, and they get shaved ice. Through mostly non-verbal communication, they manage to talk about Komi's school life. Komi finds a book but is too scared to ask to borrow it, so she decides to read it. When her stare scares a baby, she manages to cheer him up. Tadano, who is also at the library, watches happily from nearby and forgets to return his own books. Komi goes to a park and has fun while she is alone. A passing Tadano is awed by her looks and again forgets to return his books. Komi and her family visit their relatives. Despite being uneasy at first, Komi and her cousin Akira bond and play together. Komi is later summoned by her grandmother, Yuko, to update her on her life. However, when asked if she likes a boy, Komi shakes nervously, which alerts her grandmother, who immediately discovers Tadano's name on her phone. Komi and Tadano are invited by Najimi to a summer festival. Komi gets anxious as she has forgotten to bring something to ride on, prompting Tadano to say that he will help her. They visit some of the various stands and games, in which Komi beats Tadano in a shooting game and wins a video game console. Komi later manages to verbally compliment Tadano's look while waiting for their friends. Komi writes with a stick that she really enjoyed her time alone with Tadano, only to quickly erase it before he can see it. Komi, Najimi, and Yami visit Tadano's home, where they meet Tadano's sister, Hitomi. There, they reminisce about how much fun they had during the summer. They notice Komi crying as she explains she actually does not want the summer to end. For the first time, the semester after summer vacation begins, Noku Koinika is distressed because she is from the countryside. After overhearing that Komi is going to buy Najimi a sandwich, she follows her to learn how to order food like a city girl. Nakanaka invites Komi to hang out at her house. Nervous at having Komi at her house by herself, she invites Najimi, who brings along Tadano. On their day off, Nagini asks Komi and Tadano to help distribute tissues in a retail store. Despite a difficult start, Komi becomes more confident when she finally manages to give a tissue to a woman and distributes the whole box by the end of the day. Tadano shows up in class with a seed stuck on his face, but Komi is too nervous to tell him. After realizing that he calls Najimi by her first name, she asks him to call her by her first name too. Tadano is unable to do so when told by Najimi to also call Tadano by his first name to set the example. Komi, embarrassed, fails at doing so as well. The school holds its annual sports day, where Komi meets Chika Netsuno, a highly competitive second-year student. After several events, Komi takes part in the relay race against Netsuno. She slips and falls, but encouragement from her friends enables her to continue running